It is Arlechino time. She is definitely one of the more interesting characters we've had in a while. We are going to quickly get her up to 70 as usual. For Ascension, we do need one new material. We have Fragment of a Golden Melody. This is from the new boss we have in the new area. Rainbow Roses, actually pretty easy to farm. They're in Fontaine. There's a pretty good amount of them and they're all like very densely clustered. So there we go, level 70. Up on screen right now are all the materials she needs for Ascension. Pause or take a screenshot if you want to reference this later. And while we won't be using her signature weapon in this video, I did want to go over the materials required here as well. We do need some new materials, these hilts that drop from new elite enemies, also in the new area. Once again, up on screen are all the required materials to fully max it and for each Ascension as well. And while I think it's important to raise all of our talents, to get them past 6, we do need a new material called Fading Candle, where you get from fighting herself, the new weekly boss. Once again, materials required for talents up on screen. Keep in mind, these are the materials required for one talent, so if you want to get them all to a certain level, just triple the totals. With all that out of the way, I'd say now's a good time to do the talent and constellation overview. This is a long one, so buckle up. She is a pretty complex character. Starting with her normal attack, I would say this is the core of her kit, the most important thing. At baseline, spamming the normal attack button are some pretty normal pole arm-esque attacks. However, if she has a bond of life that's more than 30% of her HP bar, all of her normal charge and plunging attacks will be converted to deal pyro damage. 7.5% of that bond of life will be consumed per normal attack you do to increase the power of said normal attack. And for every boosted normal attack that eats the bond of life, her elemental skill will enjoy a 0.8 second cooldown reduction. That's already a lot of information, I know, just bear with me. Basically, if you do a charge attack and hold, she'll pop out a wing and can glide over the ground, actually relatively speedy. Honestly, super cool. It does consume a lot of stamina though, which is the downside. So far we've learned she needs bond of life to actually do much. Now the question is, how does she get this bond of life? That's where her elemental skill comes into play. After hitting an enemy with it, they will be debuffed. Firstly, this mark on them will deal pyro damage to them every 5 seconds. Much more importantly though, if you do a charge attack, she will absorb those debuffs into herself, giving her the bond of life. Each debuff that she absorbs will fill 65% of her max HP with a bond of life. This is what will happen against a boss or any other single target enemy. If you're in an AoE situation though with at least 3 enemies and can then absorb 3 debuffs, her bond of life can go up to 145% of her max HP. But yes, that's her skill. Its main purpose is to give her the bond of life, so that her normal attacks will be infused with pyro and deal extra damage. Her burst, refreshingly, is pretty simple. She does some AoE pyro damage, and like we talked about with her skill, if the enemies do have these special debuffs on them, she will also absorb them that way. Her burst will also heal her based on her current bond of life, and reset the cooldown of her elemental skill, which is nice because her elemental skill has a massive cooldown. Of course though, if you use her ultimate to absorb the debuffs, you won't get a bond of life that way, you'll just heal more. Her passive abilities are also a bit complex. Basically though, if you apply this special debuff on an enemy and they are defeated, Arlecchino will get a bigger bond of life worth 130% of her max HP. Also, if you wait at least 5 seconds after giving the enemy this debuff, the bond of life she absorbs will also be worth 130%. So I would say specifically against a boss enemy where otherwise you'd only get 65% of her max HP, it might be worth waiting those 5 seconds for the debuff to be upgraded, and so she'll get a much bigger bond of life. Her second passive gives her all type res up to 20%. You need 3000 attack to max this out though. One thing I thought was pretty peculiar about the res increase is that it is reflected in the stat page. As you can see, we get 10.7% when we have about 1070 attack over 1000. However, if we do Bennett burst and stand in there, her res actually should be maxed out with 3400, but it's only at 12%. Which I thought was weird. And usually I scoff at defensive passives, but in her case, it's probably important because her final passive actually gives her a 40% pyro damage bonus in exchange for the fact she can only be healed through her own ultimate. But don't get me wrong, besides the pyro damage bonus, this passive is also good. If she got healed by like a Barbara burst, for example, her bond of life would disappear. And Arlecchino without a bond of life is like a water bottle that doesn't have water in it currently. Also, I do want to clarify, she can be healed, like by Barbara's ring, for example here, as long as you're not in combat. So that is her kit in a nutshell. Don't worry if you're still confused, we are going to be playing with her later. For now though, I do want to talk about her constellations. C1 is absolutely fantastic. First of all, Mask of the Red Death, which is the state she enters when she has a bond of life, is enhanced. The value of the increase is 100%. Possibly more importantly though, her resistance to interruption is increased. I didn't ever really appreciate interruption resistance until I had to play with the C0 Nuvolette, but as someone who's going to be on field most of the time, it's nice. Her C2 is very interesting as well. So we were talking about one of her passives where if you apply this debuff and wait 5 seconds, it'll be upgraded to what's called Blood Debt Due. With her C2, this will happen instantaneously, so you no longer have to wait 5 seconds to get that full 130% bond of life. But you'll also deal a pretty massive 900% multiplier attack of AoE pyro damage when she absorbs that debuff. And it'll increase her resistance to everything by 20% for 15 seconds. So C2 very packed. My theory crafter friend says it's actually only about a 15% overall DPS increase, like when we're talking full rotations. C3 obviously quite nice because it boosts her normal attack talent levels. C4 I've been noticing a theme that it's very often energy related. It honestly doesn't sound that great to me, but basically when she absorbs one of these debuffs, the cooldown of her ultimate will be reduced by 2 seconds and she'll gain 15 energy. So yeah, it's not bad, just nothing insane either. C5 of course less good than C3 because it's her ultimate talent levels. And finally her C6 obviously quite nice sounding, which also makes C5 sound a bit better because with C6, her ultimate will get a pretty big damage increase. It says, and I quote, increased by Arlecchino's attack multiplied by 700% of Arlecchino's current bond of life percentage. What that actually means, I'm not that sure, but it sounds strong. Possibly more importantly, for 20 seconds, after doing her elemental skills, she'll gain 10% crit rate and 70% crit damage for all of her normal and elemental burst attacks. So that should be more or less 100% uptime on that crit rate and crit damage boost. So as for recommendations about where to go, where to stop, I do want to say she is perfectly capable at C0. However, C1 is not only a very nice damage increase, but it also gives you interruption resistance, which is huge. C2 sounds amazing to me, but apparently it's not that big of an actual DPS increase. But the convenience of having the Blood Debt Directive immediately upgraded to Blood Debt Due, I think would be pretty big versus bosses. C1 is worth it. Everything else is good. Like her entire constellations are good, but C1 is like where most people should stop. Me personally, I'd be very tempted to go to C2. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to build. In terms of weapon, of course, if you have her signature, use that. It is the best for her. Besides that, for a free-to-play option, there would be White Tassel here. I'm probably one of the only people that don't have a White Tassel at the moment. But yeah, it's actually a very solid 3-star polearm for her. Gives 23 crit rate and increases normal attack damage by 48% at max. If you have nothing better, it's actually a solid option. Besides that, both of the Battle Pass weapons are good. I don't have the other one. When it comes to other 5-star polearms though, they're almost all usable on her. Mostly though, Primordial here gives a massive amount of attack, some crit rate, and some more attack on passive. Should be quite easy to get those stacks as well. Calamity is decent, also a lot of attack, you know, Staff of Homa. And if you don't have any of those, Lithic Spear, depending on your team composition, can be fine as well. We're gonna go Deathmatch. I know it's not free to play. I would actually just go White Tassel, but somehow I don't have it. So in terms of artifacts, this is where it might get a little divisive. The new set we just got, Fragment of Harmonic Whimsy, is kind of her signature set. It literally references Bond of Life down there. 18% increased damage up to 3 stacks. Sounds really strong. Yes, it is technically the best set for her, but you know what comes really close and you already have a massive amount of them? Freaking Gladiator. 35% normal attack damage. This is where she's getting the majority of her damage anyway. For most people, I would just recommend giving her 4-piece Gladiator. Your Arlecchino will most likely be stronger overall due to the amount of options you already have and, you know, the better pieces, the better substats, whatever. Obviously, for the people that really want to min-max Arlecchino and run the domain for 10,000 resin or whatever anyway, they're going to do that, and that's fine. That's a valid option. But for most people that just want a strong Arlecchino, I would say at least start with Gladiator. And the last one is Energy Recharge. She does need some Energy Recharge, which we'll talk about later, but for now, I think that's actually a pretty good piece there. We are mainly looking for typical DPS stats, crit rate, crit damage, attack. A little bit of Energy Recharge and Elemental Mastery wouldn't hurt, of course. Had to go to Flat Def as the first roll, come on. And again, I think I do have a lot of Gladiator pieces with potential, so we're gonna give up on that for now. This one, 4 sub double crit lines, we're gonna try it. Crit rate, crit damage, crit damage, crit damage. One more, come on. Def, flat def right there at the end. Man, it's still pretty good, but starting with 2 bad subs is essentially 3 bad rolls when you think about it. I don't know, 12 crit rate, 5 crit damage, 8 attack, or 5 crit rate and 26 crit damage. For now, I'm going to take the higher crit damage since we're running deathmatch and have so much crit rate anyway. Do we even have any pyro goblets? No, we don't. So that has to be the off piece. Okay, we're going to take this 10 crit rate, 7 crit damage then. We have 5 crit damage circlets, so we might raise one or the other. All right, let's see what happens at 20. EM and crit rate. Oh, that's not bad. 10 crit rate, 56 EM. A little bit of energy recharge. Yeah, I think that's probably the best one we have, so we're just going to stick with it. We're going to see if there are any good ones in here. Okay, hold on. Let's get that to 20. Jesus Christ. Just crit damage and energy recharge. I don't think we'll even need crit rate anyway, so sure. Honestly, not bad. 83 crit, 197 crit damage, pretty good 1-2 ratio there. We are a bit low on attack. I think that's mainly because of deathmatch and it's low base. But I mean, we can always take Binny with us, give us that extra 1,000. I did hear from my theory crafter friend that 130 energy recharge was like the bare minimum for her. We went ahead and got all of her talents to 6 as usual, though I don't think all is Ash. Her elemental skill is that important. Definitely by far the most important is her normal attack, and then followed by her burst. So with your first weekly boss win, I would definitely invest those into the normal attacks. But yeah, I'd say she's pretty much ready to go now. Stats aren't incredibly ideal. I would like to have more EM and probably a little bit more energy recharge. I'd say she's good enough to start with right now. Talking about teams now at C0, it probably would be nice to have some kind of shielder like Zhongli. I do think good old Bin Boy is going to be there in most of them. As for other supports, you know, we got Kazuha in there. He's good for basically every elemental team. And then I do like me some Vapes, so I'd probably throw an off-field Hydra in there like Yelan or Xingqiu. I'm probably going to go with Yelan. She doesn't have as much Hydra application as Xingqiu, but I can give her the Elegy Bow, which gives my Arlecchino some elemental mastery. Besides that team, we also have Overload, which we'll probably try and check out. You know, we have Chevrus, which gives us some big bonuses. In this case, elemental mastery is a lot less important for her. For now, though, we're going to start with this team. Furina, I would usually just like to put in here, but she has a couple of issues. First of all, she has even less Hydra application than Yelan, but also due to the fact Arlecchino cannot receive healing outside of her own ultimate, Furina team might just be a problem in general. That being said, if you do happen to have a C6 Furina, I think that could work, because at least the rest of your team will be relatively healthy. If you can manage dodging really well with Arlecchino, because she's going to be at like half HP constantly until you do her ultimate. So I would say just inherently, like by default, she is not as good at single target stuff just because of the way she works. Just to temper your expectations, I do think she's a very good and very strong character, just not as good as a lot of others in single target. But here we go. We're going to see what we can do to Liam here. Starting with the Binny Burst, we're going to go ahead and swirl that real quick. Probably should have done an E, but whatever. So we're going to do that, and then we're just going to actually have to wait a bit, I guess, here before we do a charge attack. All right. I guess we have the Bond of Life now. Unfortunately, the buffs are mostly gone, so we're doing like 25k normals, and we died. Liam is probably not the best one to warm up on, to be honest, so we're going to go to like Masanori again. Also, I think waiting those 5 seconds is not a good idea. What we're going to try is starting with her, implanting the debuff, and then when we come back to her, it'll be ready to absorb. So we're going to start with implanting it. Go ahead and go to Yelan. Try and get her ultimate here. There we go. Go ahead and go to Binny. Try and implant Pyro on him, which is hard because of Yelan now. Whatever. We're gonna swirl nothing, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, that would work, of course. We're gonna use our burst to heal and I guess reset the cooldown. Yeah, she'll definitely take a bit of practice to get like the, you know, real rotation down. Where I think she would shine a lot brighter is in Abyss, specifically an AoE Abyss. So first half of Chamber 12 here, at least until we get up to Coppelia, which is a single target boss, but still I think she could handle it. I usually save floor 12 for God mode, but just to warm up and kind of do a little showcase here, let's go through the first couple of floors. I would say in most floors, it's not really necessary to start with her and then come back later when the buffs have been upgraded, but may as well get used to that because there's a lot of single target stuff in Genshin in general. So yeah, we got the Bond of Life now. Everything should be upgraded. We are getting like 60k normals there, which I think is pretty damn good, actually. I saw a couple of them anyway. It doesn't look like Bond of Life carries over from chamber to chamber, which is a little bit of a shame, honestly, but I guess understandable as well. I couldn't see much else with floor 9, so we're moving on to floor 10 here. Just more or less going to do the same thing though. Okay, the enemies are still too weak to really see anything here. Literally just getting the buffs for her kills everyone, so that's nice. Second half, these guys are a little bit stronger, so we'll see how they go. All right, we're just gonna have to absorb here. What? Oh yeah, 58, 58, 60, 73. We do have a buff here to like enemies affected by Hydro. I'm not sure if that was really reflected, but we'll also do floor 11 because I don't think there are any vaporized buffs there. But yeah, considering how fast she normal attacks, those numbers are already really impressive. All right, in this case, we're actually going to start with an E and then absorb it with ultimate so we can heal. And then we can replant E on them because again, ultimate resets the cooldown there. Okay, so we're gonna try and swirl them now and we'll see if we can absorb this as well now. What do we got? 80. I just saw 180 and then they're dead. So that was pretty good, I guess. What can I say? Yeah, we just have a 75% geo damage bonus in floor 11, so that shouldn't increase our damage at all. I think we are gonna try first half because we got these water droplets, and just seems a little bit more AoE in first half also. All right, we should be able to see some more or less real numbers now, hopefully. We actually don't even really have to absorb them in this case, I guess, because yeah, she has the blood debt. There was definitely a 70k right there. Some 50ks without vaporize. That's honestly pretty good. We're going to reapply blood debt to all these guys. Pretty much restart the rotation here. 68, 92. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. There are just these guys left, so I'm not going to bother doing anything else. But I mean, sure, we can just kind of... Oh, let's do her ultimate. So we actually heal up for the next round. Huh? Why do we still have no health? Damn, okay. That's gonna suck a little bit here. We used the burst but didn't heal. I guess we did it in like the worst timing possible. That is unfortunate because these guys kind of suck and they're really aggressive. Yeah, I might just restart the whole thing. 78. Let's see if we can see some numbers before we die. Okay. Actually, hold on. We should be able to heal a bit here. Okay. Oh, there are even 2 enemies after this. Okay. Let's apply that first of all. Try and not die. We do have Arlecchino's burst, so we are going to do that to heal. Oh, is it going to do that again? If you do her burst and it kills them, then I don't think you actually heal. That's so... Nope, we definitely didn't heal. And on these guys, that's going to be bad. Oh yeah, she's dead already. Nice. I mean, I guess that's good to know. If you need healing... Don't do it at the end of the wave, do it rather at the beginning of the next one. I learned my lesson, I suppose. And now Yolan died as soon as Arlecchino got her ultimate. Now we just need to absorb it and get the bond of life going and see what we can do to these guys. Not actually that much. Like, we should be almost guaranteed to get vaporized, but we're only getting like 50k. Come on! The second I swapped out to her! Yeah, okay. The fact we did her burst at the end of the last floor and then we don't get healed from it is annoying. Very annoying. So we have to abandon. Yeah, I mean, actually, sure. Let's go ahead and try the overloaded team because we wanted to do that anyway. I'll do a charge attack now. Sure, let's heal. Do another one of those. Grab it. Absorb the buffs. What are we doing? Like, yeah, 40k per hit, I guess, when we're in Binny Ring. I don't know if we even had Chevreuse buff. I haven't seen anything extraordinary yet, but we're back at the floor, so we'll see how this goes, I suppose. Everything feels incredibly laggy because our ping is bad right now, but yeah, I can't do anything about that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and absorb if we can. I think we should have... Oh yeah, they literally just one-shot. That's amazing. I love these enemies. No, these dudes are so... Look at that! Look at that one attack! Oh no! What? What? I know I'm getting vaporized because I'm standing in Binny Ring, but like, dude, we have to take Zhongli. That's stupid. I've noticed she's still doing fine damage, actually, even in this team, which has Zhongli, but like, there's something completely bugged about these guys. Okay, never mind. Now we are doing damage for some reason. I don't get it. Yeah, dude, whatever. I don't, but okay, yeah, that's where I'm gonna wrap up the showcase. I never had as big of an issue with those stupid water. That was the first time I've really experienced it that bad, but as for Arlecchino herself, I'm never gonna get used to that idle animation. She is good all around in AoE and single target. She's just not the best at either, at least according to math and numbers. I'll be giving a more rounded opinion a little bit later in a future showcase. For now though, that'll do it. Let me know what you think about her in the comments down below. Dropping a like or subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks as always for watching, and until next time.